Hey, Shalom, Akim, Shalom. Before we begin this lesson, we want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises unto Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahashem,
Hashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Shai,
Bahashem,
Hashem,
Rachakwadash.
Rachakadash.
Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth. A sincere Shalom to the hopeful elect that's out there listening, learning, and or teaching the truth and sincerity. Shalom. So I'm the brother Kawashab here with
Ratazawan.
Yeah, we just doing another lesson today, going into the an MOTB update, man. And I believe this is a big one. There's a lot going on right now. So the title of this article, it reads US Brain Implant Company tests with patients in China. Okay. So we're gonna get into it and just showing you, man, even though these nations they fight amongst each other on the surface, but as we know in the scriptures, okay, these nations they're confederate against us. All right, they're confederate against Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay, so yeah, they're gonna do their little war, but in the background, they want that Tower of Babel all over again. Okay, I'm just gonna grab a quick precept here. This is Psalms, the 83rd chapter, and I'm gonna start with verse 1. Um, yep, verse 1. It says, keep not thou silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power, for lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head, right? So the Lord's enemies, it says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, the Lord's people being the Israelites. It says, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Okay, because these heathens know when we come together, pursuing the Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, when the nation of Israel is following Yahweh Shema Shai, okay, we get that blessing of the law, which allows us to rule the world. Okay, and these heathens know that we're gonna rule the world if we're following the Lord. So their goal is to keep us from knowing this knowledge, to keep us in a dumbed down state, to keep us in a degenerate state. So they got us following their ways. They got us serving all this captivity and not having any time to really, uh build anything, for lack of a better word, because they know that we're the people of the Lord, man. So ultimately they're against us, that being the point. So they're together, okay? US, China, they all work for these elites. Okay, the elites got that Agenda 2030, which involves the NWO, everything coming together in a digital system with AI, so on and so forth, and that chip being the main part of it. All right, but without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and have the brother Ratazwan jump into that article and just we're gonna start reading that Baba Kashaf.
Yeah, so it says right here in Bloomberg, a U.S. company has tested a brain implant in four Chinese patients in Shanghai, a rare sign of cooperation as the two countries complete to develop the most advanced neural technology.
God, so it's a race, and when these countries are racing against each other, they're really competing. It forces them to really bring out the best as quickly as possible. And so they're just trying to it's just a way to speed up the process of getting this MOTB out there. I mean, it's already here. We got a website called Dangerous Things. They got the insert it yourself kit for the RFID chip that goes in the hand. You got Elon Musk's Neuralink. You got the company Synchron that's got brain computer interfaces. But, they want to mass produce these like cell phones, right? Every year there's a new cell phone. Okay. It's going to be like that with the chip. They want to have um, this huge market for it. Okay. Because they're getting ready to mandate it. All right.
Mm. And ultimately, it's just most of these places have already offered, like especially other countries, like in Europe, they've
Mhm.
already offered this chip. and the US, they just have to find a way to properly bring it out to the people.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's true because I believe let's see, I'm gonna look it up on my end, which countries use RFID chips. Yeah, it says over 180 countries issue. Hang on. No, that's not it. But I know what you're talking about, brother, because there was some European countries where they're doing it. I just don't know the one off the top of my head. They had it to where you could open doors, by putting your hand next to the door, and it's all heading there, man. That's why when you go to Whole Foods, they got the palm reader where it reads your palm. Amazon, different Amazon stores, they getting the people accustomed to that.
And the something I can think about is one, just using your card to pay, the tap to pay. And
Mm,
then at these Amazon boxes, you can actually like you can dang near use your phone for everything. For paying, you can use it to access certain things, like you said, like doors.
hmm.
And you just don't gotta move nowhere.
Exactly. Gone. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I got it. On the AI overview, I was looking it up. It says implantable RFID, radio frequency identification, and NFC chips, often used for contactless payments, unlocking doors, or storing data, are most prevalent in Sweden, with thousands of users, followed by growing adoption in the USA, UK, Germany, France, Belgium, and Canada. You see, showing you that it's these nations that are part of the beast. Okay, because who is part of the beast? Let's get this real quick in the book of Revelation, 13, Salakia, Revelation 13 and verse 1, it says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. So the 10 horns represents the European Union because they had originally 10 members. And so right now, you can look into it. Most of these countries that I listed are a part of uh, the European Union, okay, which is the horns on the beast, and America being that spearhead. So, you got this is coming out of the beast, man. Even though China is joining in, okay, we know this comes from America ultimately, you know?
Uh,
That's why when we go to Revelation 13 and verse 16, it says, and he caused it all, speaking about that beast, if you read further up in the chapter. But yep, you could keep reading, brother.
all right, we got in the second paragraph. It says the company Axoft also said this week that it raised 55 million. It tested its device temporarily in 11 patients, including the 4 in Shanghai. Axoft plans to study its device in more patients in China this year and is planning multiple clinical trials in the country.
Con.
Chief,
Go ahead, brother. Yep.
yeah, Chief Executive Officer Paul Lee Floch said,
Con. Yeah, I want to get something real quick. So I'm on the Axoft website, which is that company. And just reading something on their page, it says implant material mimicking the soft tissues of the brain, far exceeding malleability and resilience of conventional implant materials. And I'm looking at it and it looks like artificial meat or something. It just looks like a squishy thing, right? So, if you kind of go into this website, it's showing these chip implants that are squishy and they kind of supposed to work with your brain because if you look into it, a lot of these implants, the technology is to the point is still primitive to the point where it'll cause inflammation and shit. So they're trying really hard to make cyborgs out here, man. You know, that's what they're trying to do. And if you look into this guy, Paul Lee Flock, PhD, you go on engine.xyz, let's see, engine.xyz slash people slash or forward slash people forward slash Paul dash Lee dash Flock, or you could just Google it. It says, here's one of his quotes. It says, I'm a material scientist making electronics as soft as the brain. The brain contains about 80 billion neurons, yet we can only interface with a few hundreds to a few thousands of them by using a brain implant. Scaling up such technology to create ultra high bandwidth brain machine interfaces will open up a breadth of new applications in neural prosthetics, brain simulation therapies, and neurosciences. The mechanical mismatch between biological tissues and electronics must be leveled by using soft materials if we ever hope to reach high numbers of electrodes in brain implants while maintaining a negligible immune response. Realizing ultra soft, ultra high density brain implants is challenging from both the materials sciences and nanofabrication perspectives. Okay, so these guys, as you see, are very dedicated to basically making a chip that's going to be one with your brain. And like he said, he wants to be able to tap into all them neurons. Okay, and if you really understand what that means, that's full mind control, man. If they have that chip in you and it's tapping into all them neurons, they're gonna be able to basically use you like a robot. Okay, this is how far Esau wants to go with this technology, man. You know, they're not gonna say it outright that that's what they want to do, but we know that this shit always turns draconian eventually. You know, at first it's like, oh look, we're gonna cure this and we're gonna help people who are paralyzed. And then next thing you know, they're gonna be finding a way to use this against you. Okay, so these devils, they got an imagination of what they want to do, but we know that the scripture says that the Lord's gonna cut it short, man. So, you know, I just want to grab a quick precept. I got Psalms chapter 64, and I want to start at verse 6. It says, they search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Right? So they work hard to do all these wicked things, man. They go into it. All right? It's deep. Okay? It says both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart, which is a mind, is deep. Okay? You know, showing you how far they have been planning to do these things, man. This ain't nothing new. They were, you know, the apostles and elders have been breaking it down, you know, since even before the internet came out, when they were on the highways and byways. Okay, and you know, there was talks about this technology back then. Okay, so this thing has been in the making for a while. This isn't just something that just popped in here. You know, they've been had this technology, and this has been their goal. Okay, but watch this. It says verse 7, but the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow, suddenly shall they be wounded. Right, because we know once they mandate this chip everywhere, all right, that's when Yahushua is going to return shortly thereafter, and then the thermonuclear destruction of America. So these devils' plans is going to be cut short, man. They're not going to be able to make human cyborgs of everybody because the elect is not going to take that chip. Okay, even though that is their intention to get everybody chipped up.
Fine. All right. And then going on to the third, not so like it. Going on to the third paragraph, it says it's the first time a U.S. brain implant company has disclosed that it's tested a device in China. A significant milestone given to neurotechnology is increasingly viewed as a new front in the tech race between the nations. The Chinese government has said mastering the technology is the strategic priority, and it intends to develop several world-leading companies by 2030.
Hey, 2030, you see that? What does that sound like? That sounds like that Agenda 2030, man. I want to grab 2 Corinthians 2:11. It says, "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices," right? The word devices going into those evil schemes, okay? They tell you outright they got a plan for Agenda 2030, man. You know? I mean, you could look up on the internet and they're gonna say, "Oh, it's a conspiracy," but they literally tell you if you watch the World Economic Forum and these different talks they have, they tell you about all these things they want to do. They want people eating crickets and they say they want you in 15-minute city, all this surveillance. The cat's out of the bag, man. Hey, the Lord is exposing it, man. It's plainly obvious what the agenda is and where this society is heading.
And it says right here in Job 20 and 23, when he's about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So yeah, ultimately, when he even tries to implement that RFID chip, man, the Lord's going he's going to smite him.
That's right. Hey, he's not gonna get very far, man. I was talking to one of the elder brothers earlier, and we got into talking about it, and the topic came up about Esau having a very vivid imagination. Because they talk about going to different planets and colonizing them, and they talk about immortality, and they don't realize, hey, that's not for them. That's not for Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. That's for Jacob. That's our blessing, man. We're going to be the ones to rule the earth forever. Okay, we're the ones that nations are going to bow down to, man. Esau, the only reason he's ruling now is because he's got that blessing of the sword, which is a temporary thing, man. The Lord gave all these heathen rulerships a chance to rule. Okay, but at the end, it's going to be given back to Jacob. This kingdom. I want to grab a precept also because now that we're talking about Esau's vivid imagination. Okay, I want to grab Psalms 2:1. It says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" Hey, this chip, this whole NWO, the cyborgs living forever. They talk about uploading their consciousness to the cloud. That's all pointless. Okay. Verse 2 says, "The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, Let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us." Because this whole NWO is about destroying the laws of the Heavenly Father and basically setting up their own way of life, which they've set up already, but forcing everybody to be under their rulership. And these Edomites think that they're gonna get their blessing back artificially through research and technology. But like the brother just read, when he's about to fill his belly, hey, the Lord's gonna smite him, man. So it's a pointless thing, man. It's a wet dream, but it's not gonna be accomplished.
Yeah, and I got another precept if that's all right.
Uh,
It's from Wisdom of Solomon in the Apocrypha. It says because this is the way they think because they live that you only live once life and they think this is all gonna go unpunished.
mhm,
So it says right here in chapter 2 verse 5, for our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning, for it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present, and let us speedily use the creatures like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with the costly wine and ointments, and ointments,
mhm,
and let no flower of the spring pass by us. Let us crown ourselves with rosebuds before they are withered. Let none of us go without his part of our uh voluptuous,
mhm,
well, yeah, voluptuousness, Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion and our lot this is. Well, is this? Yeah, it says in verse 10, let us oppress the poor righteous man, let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, that's
so
beautiful. Yeah, you
it's
got
like
it.
you could break that down.
Kind of. I mean, it's basically, like it's a lot of it is self-explanatory. How these Edomites live for the moment. They're not wise, man. It's all about, and one word that comes to mind that Elder brings out a lot is capitalism. It's just heaping all these riches to yourself at the expense of the Israelites, at the expense even of their own people, at the expense of the environment. They've heaped all these riches together, like the scripture says, for the last days. But it's not gonna it's pointless, man. Because like I said earlier, man, it's just temporary. Okay, and as soon as he gets that chip, hey, all these riches, all these things he's been fighting for, once they take it to that point where they mandate this chip, hey, that's gonna be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Okay, that's when the Lord is gonna have to step in and defend his elect. And let's go ahead and let's read verse 10 again, Baba Kusha.
You said verse 10.
Khan.
Let me grab that real quick.
Yeah, because yeah, this is a great read. Wisdom of Solomon goes into it, man. You know?
Kind Yeah, and that verse 10 it says, let us oppress the poor righteous man, let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age.
hmm Yeah, and they constantly oppressing Jake, man. It's going back to the transatlantic slave trade, man. How many Jakes died on the way here? A lot of them didn't even make the voyage. Packed like sardines, all inside of these boats, these ships, right? All the slavery and oppression, and then to this day, they got our people segregated into ghettos to do what? To continue to prey on them. That's why you
Kind
got the prison industrial complex. Anybody with half a brain look into that. That system doesn't fucking work, man. These are the people that call themselves the greatest people on the earth, but they got everybody rotting in prison. No rehabilitation. Just throw somebody in prison and then let them out, and then now they got a record and they can't get a job, so now they got to go do illegal shit to go back in prison. That's
of-
stupid.
yeah, and ultimately, they're setting themselves up for doom because at the end of the day, they know who's supposed to come first, because it says, Esau is the head and Jacob is the tail. Ooh, Salakia. It says that Jacob's supposed to come last, but we're gonna be the head eventually.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is why they have to bring this chip out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Esau's got that perpetual hatred ever since Jacob supplanted Esau of his blessing and his birthright. And ever since then, he thought to what? To slay his brother Jacob. And so that's why they got this perpetual hatred. All right. And when the scriptures talks about the poor, a lot of times it's really talking about the Israelites, because we are the poor right now. We are the ones who, for one of all things, we got to go to these devils, man. We got to go to Walmart, to their stores, right? Different stores you could think about. These are all owned by Esau. We can't get food, clothing anywhere that's not run by Esau. Ultimately, we have to go to him, and he's basically just preys on our people to make money, to continue his capitalism. I want to get that word capitalism real quick in the etymology. Let's get that real quick. Uh, this is the word capitalism. 1854, condition of having capital. From capital plus ism, the meaning political economic system which encourages capitalists is recorded from 1872 and originally was used sparingly by socialists. The meaning, here we go. It says concentration of capital in the hands of a few. The power or influence of large capital is from 1877. The point being, a bunch of capital, a bunch of money concentrated in the hands of a small few. right? Those are your international banking families, your Rothschilds, Rockefellers, DuPonts, Gettys, so on and so forth. And these families have committed crimes against humanity, all in the process, all in the name of hoarding wealth. Okay? The reason there's forever chemicals in everybody's bloodstream in the world, or everybody in America, probably the world too, if they buy our products, is because of this the Teflon. You can look up Teflon. There's a chemical called C8. Is present in everybody's body right now in America because this company, the DuPont family, wanted to make all this money off of a military technology called Teflon. And when the war was over, they opened up this company and started selling non-stick pans and all type of bullshit, you know, and polluting the environment.
Right. And at the end of the day, you're gonna need Esau because those are usually your doctors, and that's where you get your medication from. And they run that too.
Yeah, they run that too, man. Rockefeller has a big hand in that. All
Kind.
your all your pills that you buy are petroleum based, which comes from oil. And that's that Rockefeller family. So you can't escape this system, man.
Yeah, and that ultimately, man, Esau, they got that God complex, which that kind of goes into that scripture, Isaiah 14
Yeah,
and 14.
Khan. You want me to read it for you, bro?
Con, con,
Khan. Isaiah 14. Here we go. Isaiah 14. Start at verse 13. It says, "For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High."
con. Not only is he saying I will be like him, but he's trying to say I will take his place.
Man,
Man, crazy, huh?
he's a madman. He's got a vivid imagination, man. He's
Con.
sleepwalking because it ain't gonna happen. Yeah,
Yeah. Man, at the end of the day, the Lord's gonna get his lick back. Yeah.
the Lord's gonna mess this Edomite up, man.
Con.
Well, hey, and that's the next verse says it right there, verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Con, you can break that down.
Khan, hey, the Lord's gonna destroy these Edomites, man. Hey, that thermonuclear destruction of America is coming. It's on the way. There's so many scriptures that goes into that, but we know that this is the last major prophecy. All right. This is the last major prophecy. Just got that 10-minute warning. We got 10 minutes. But yeah, like I was saying, man, that's the last major prophecy, and that's why this is so important, Akim. Okay. We see Jacob's trouble popping off. It's about to intensify more. We see the process of these women being humbled. Okay. And then now this chip is starting to be a race. It's China, America. Who else is about to get involved? Okay. So this is a beautiful time we're living in. We're at the end. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that.
Con, did you want to get back into that article?
Con.
All right, it says, okay, where do we stop off? I'm just gonna start right
Um,
here. All
yeah,
right, so it says this is gonna be a brain computer interface, or BCI, can be astounding. Well, yeah, astounding medical treatments, enabling paralyzed people to control computers or electric devices. The technology could also be used to monitor productivity, productivity, and potentially enhance brain function, making them appealing for industrial or military applications. Dang. The U.S. Defense Department research arm has funded work in the area and ventured funding found well in venture fund founding by the Central Intelligence Agency invested in two U.S. brain implement startups.
con.
Dang, it's like they trying to be how shy.
Yeah, they trying to heal. It's funny because a lot of these illnesses are caused by them and all their poisoning of the environment and of the people, and so they create the problem and then they offer a solution. Okay, but the beautiful thing is that the Lord is allowing us to see past this deception, man. Okay, and I got a precept for this too. This is Second Thessalonians 2 and 9. And let's see, I want to start at we'll start at verse 8. It says, "And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth." Right? The wicked, pursuing in Malachi 1 verse 4, is Esau Edom, the so-called white man. Okay, and you can see it clearly, man. He's the one running this whole world into the ground. He's the reason why there's wars everywhere. He's the reason there's poverty all over the world, illnesses everywhere. And then this bullshit. Now, next thing you know, they're gonna want to put a chip in everyone. That's not us so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians doing that. You can't blame us for that. You can't blame anybody but Esau for that. Okay, and all the other things the scriptures talks about. So we know through the spirit that that's that wicked who's being revealed, you know? And back in verse 8, it says, "Whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders." This is a lying wonder right here. Put a chip in your brain, it's going to heal you. Yeah, it's going to heal you, but now they got a remote control and they can make you do a backflip off a five-story window if they want to.
Damn. Or shut you off.
Or shut you. Hey, there you go. Shut you off, man. Oh, you didn't do what you were supposed to. You drove too much this week. We're gonna have to shut you off for a little bit. That's just a punishment. We'll turn you back on and then you could try again. Whatever. Whatever's coming, it's ugly, man. It's a dystopia.
God.
Like one of them dystopian movies.
God, that was actually reminding me of that movie we watched not too long ago, Black Mirror. She tried to go past a checkpoint and got shut off. Her life was
Mm-hmm.
gone like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Or
yeah.
then Con,
That's
where you
crazy.
gotta go ahead.
I was just say it was a crazy movie because you remember also that you had to pay that subscription fee just
Con, and if you and if you want the ads off, you gotta get plus.
damn, imagine
After the
that.
and now the plus is the common. Crazy, man.
Hey, that's how Esau does. Remember Amazon Prime? It used to be cheaper, and then I believe they raised the price. But they do that with everything, man. They do that with all these different companies, man. They start you off at a low rate. Then once they got you, that all right, this is just the price just goes up after a while, but blah blah blah. Then when you got a new customer, they give them that promotional rate, but then it goes up again. So what do? Just turn it off and go back and turn. Well, you can't turn off the chip because you gotta be able to eat. You gotta be able to, you know, function in society. So you're pretty much stuck. Just like that, like the brother brought up Black Mirror, that lady had no choice. The dude had to start pulling his teeth out just to be able to afford to keep his wife happy, because otherwise she'll be hearing them ads all day in her head.
Or he would have to deal with it.
Yeah, oh
Man.
yeah, he had to hear. Yeah, she was actually you're right. Yeah, she was talking out loud and shit. Yeah, that's just annoying. Fuck that.
Yeah, yeah, she wasn't really noticing much of it, but she had to be told, or her husband was getting sick of it, so he was secretly doing things in
Mm.
order to keep her on, or to keep that premium package.
Man. Hey,
God,
that's what Esau has in store for you Babylonians. So, hey, Jake that's listening, it's time to repent and get with it, man, before it's too late. This wisdom and knowledge and understanding that we bringing out is gonna come. It's gonna come a time when the Lord is gonna close the ministry, and it's gonna be too late for a lot of you. So, now's the time to tune in. But yeah,
God.
that's all I got, brother.
All right. You want to get back into that article?
Con,
All
yeah.
right. All right, it says dozens of companies in the US, China, and other countries are developing BCIs backed with wealthy individuals and global investors. Many US tech elites, including Elon Musk, see brain
Yeah,
augmentation
augmentation.
augmentation as a necessary step for humanity as artificial intelligence becomes more powerful. Musk, the world's Musk, the world's richest person, found brain technology company Neuralink in 2016. Oxoff was motivated to work in China in part because of how quickly it could test there. Lee Flock said the work there was done through a local partner company. He declined to name that company or Shanghai hospital. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, because they on some shady shit probably. But yeah, I think you could scroll down. I don't think there's too much more we're gonna get into. Let's just kind of scroll and see what, just kind of skim it real quick.
It's talking about
Yeah, coma
putting
patients. Yeah. Which those are them false miracles, man. Just like when, hey, think about it. You get sick, you go to the hospital, what do? They give you a pill and it fucks something else up. Hey, they've had all this technology all these years and they still don't have a cure for cancer. So it ain't nothing but another trick, man. That's all
con
it is. But
con
that's all I want to say. You got anything, brother? You want to bring anything out or?
that's all.
Well, that's it. Well, with that, we want to finish by giving our glory, honor, and praises unto Yahweh,
Hawa
Bahashem,
Bahashim
Yahweh Shai,
Hawashai
Bahashem,
Bahashim
Rachakodash.
Rachakadash.
Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who taught us the truth, and shalom to the hopeful elect that's out there listening, learning, and or teaching in truth and sincerity. Shalom wa, abba, shalom.
Shalom.